John Nolte is here, and we're going to be talking about Zachary Wilson being benched, and we're going to talk about the promotion of Mike effin White. We're going to do all of that when we come back with all of you in the chat, bunch of guests, and specifically John Nolte right after this. Greatest co-host in the world! What's 2K99? Get ready to rumble!
The tag team champions of the world!
My brotherly revenge!
That is the best intro I have ever received.
The world! The Buffalo Jets man.
Yo.
George Fant is a barely above replacement level, pretty good left tackle.
How can you say that when he was
an-
top 3 in sack percentage last year for left tackles?
And I think when in doubt, until you have better reason, go with the optimistic view. And our defensive line is going to be giving a lot of people some trouble.
But yeah, it's got to be, I'm with you. I don't like the Nathan's fries when they're like floppy. It's got to be like done really well, you know. It's very hard to teach 6'3" and 4.3 speed. That's very rare. The talent's there. He's just got to put it together mentally.
Right.
To get on to you, I'm a cheater. And that, as they say, is that. I'm out of time. I wasn't really ready yet, but now I ran out of time. So what am I going to do? Anyway, here we are. Just us. You guys and me. Let's say hello to some people in the chat. We've got, look at this, Dakota here early, Twisted, John Nolte, special guest John Nolte, Johnny G. What's going on, Johnny G? Good to see you. J. Cole is here, starting all kinds of trouble. We'll get to that next guy in a second. I'm not going to read his name in the chat because you're going to get to see him in person. We got Knobcraft here. No one is more angry at Zachary Wilson than Knobcraft. Knobcraft is willing to wants to pull out the belt. Harlan is here. What's going on, Harlan? Good friend of ours, Harlan. I love Harlan. Friendliest guy, nicest guy. Hank G is here. Love you, Hank G. John the Postman, Pure Adrenaline Sports, the successful show on the other platform. I'm forgetting the name. What is it? Twisted, Twitter? No, I'm forgetting the name of it. Put it in there, John. Jeff's New York 102 is here. What's going on? There's so many of you early. You guys are ready to go because we got a lot to talk about. So I'm not surprised. But without further ado, I think it's time we get the show rolling. We got a good show tonight. Okay, we got some people coming on. We're gonna look at some tape. We're gonna do all some things. Obviously, we're gonna start by talking about the big news. We all know what the big news is. It looks like Herbig is gonna be back at right tackle, so we got to talk about that. You guys want to talk about the other big news? Okay. Anyway, let's get the show started. Oh, I can't have this show without this guy. He's been here since the beginning. As I celebrate 2,000 subs, I cannot celebrate alone because I was never alone, because I had this hot dog eating, barbecue loving, Mets fan rooting, Ranger fan rooting, Knick fan rooting, has his broken heart, Virginia Jets fan club presidenting. And did I say wing eating? Yeah, he does wing eating too. Prize raffle running. The bank running the accounting, the CEO, the man, the greatest co-host in the world. Watch UK99, New York Sports Wicker Media.
You know, Jeremy, in your quest for 2,000 subscribers, which you have now hit, you know, that 2K. That 2K is something I know a lot about, not when it comes to subscribers, but hey, I was 2K before 2K became cool. But in your journey to get to 2K, you had a few bumps up along the way. You made some mistakes, I'm willing to bet. There were some times when you thought, I tried this didn't work, let me try that. Well, it is no different for the journey of an NFL player. The ride is really smooth from the bottom to the top of the mountain. And this is just one example. As Zachary Capono Wilson faces the hardship, realizes that what he has been doing has not worked, he now has an opportunity to take, as our coach has described it, a reset, a chance to start over, to reassess, to reevaluate, to do all other kinds of things. And now he has a chance to come back in the near future, possibly, if Mike White does not take his job and keep it and turn Zach Wilson into Wally Pipp, and Mike White becomes Lou Gehrig. We can only imagine. But this is his opportunity to reset and get right and eventually get to the level to be the NFL quarterback equivalent of a 2,000 subscribing YouTube channel. How are you doing tonight?
They're out in flies. And we got my favorite Buffalo Bills fan here. Best Bills channel or not. Check out his channel if you ever want to see the real deal, what goes on in the other content areas for other football teams. If you want to check out what Bills fans are saying, if you want to talk about what their content providers talk about, this is the guy you go to. This is a good, decent person, gives honest perspectives, hard worker. Totally respect him, man. Like I think he did like 50 days in a row with a show or a video. This guy is working it, man. He's great. He's awesome. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you, my friend. It's good to see you. We'll have him back on in a few weeks. Looking forward to that. And I was actually on his show. We need to get him on ours. And I don't know how you're going to work towards this machine called the Jets, but you might not be facing the same quarterback you did last time. And we're going to be playing in a little different environment. And I think the Bills are going to be kind of pissed off because I think we poked a very big bear from the last game. So I think we better watch ourselves. But nonetheless, I think we're going to have years of great football games versus the Bills the way things look right now. It's going to be a rivalry that's going to build and build and build over the next coming decade, I think. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. I appreciate it. And
it's been quite rare when the Jets and Bills are both good at the same time. I know they had the one playoff game way back when, but the Jets have those big rivalries with Miami, with New England. There's been playoff games, but you don't really see that Jets-Bills rivalry. It's like the Bill. If I had to pick one team I'm cool with in the division, it's definitely the Bills. I can't say that I love them, but but I can sort of relate to them because I sort of feel like a Jets fan and a Bills fan. They got the blue collar, or in our case, green collar thing going on. So, all good. BJF, how are you?
The Buffalo Jet fan in the house. Always comforting to know he's there. He's out there. Sometimes you see him as the Buffalo Jet fan. Sometimes you see him as somebody else. I won't say it. Sometimes he's in disguise, but I see him when he's in disguise. I know his other account. Not everybody knows his full name, so they don't know. But he sometimes is around when people don't know he's around.
There's a burner Buffalo account? Is that what you're telling me?
It's not really a burner. It's just his name. I'm sure it's like just some account, like his original account before he became a YouTube content provider.
Well, those of us who know.
So look, Knobcraft is pissed at Zach, but look, Zach is now no longer playing. He's benched, so there's no reason to be angry at him. He apologized to the team. No reason to be angry at him anymore. He's just the guy sitting on the bench. He's not going to be even active this week. And maybe a miracle will happen and he'll be able to reset himself and come back and be an effective player. You never know. It's not over yet. I know it's not looking good. But it ain't over until the fat lady sings. And the fat lady hasn't sung yet because if she had, Zach would have slept with her.
How old was she?
I don't know.
That's
I
important.
assume when they say the fat lady sings, they're talking about a woman who's older and probably had kids.
Probably goes like opera style. Oh, Harlan, I'm sorry.
Pure Adrenaline Sports is in here. He's a good guy. John Post. He was probably my second or third guest on the Wacky Wednesday show.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He's one of the OGs of this channel, no doubt about it.
Yep. Here's a guy who's been supporting forever. Ant Jets 82. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Twisted is a snacker. He's been one of the biggest supporters of the channel in the past few weeks, months. So I appreciate that. My brother likes to come and talk about poking bears and things like that. That's what she said, Matthew.
That's what she said.
Don't touch my sweet roll. That's what she said. Some guy is here. He won a t-shirt the other day. Happy for him. Something bad happened. So sorry to Harlan, whatever happened. Let's go up and see what's going on there. Give our brother some love.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So Harlan
unfortunately
unfortunately lost his wife. So sorry to hear that, man. We didn't know that. So I'm hoping that we hanging out with us is helping. I hope because that's what some people tell us. That this is a good distraction, some of these shows from shit that's happening in our lives. So hopefully we've done that for you. And brother, if you ever need anything, you know we're always here for you. So you haven't been up for the live streams. You usually watch the replays. That's cool, dude. We know where you are. You're busy doing your thing. You got a successful thing of your own going right now, and it's football season. So I know you're going to be busy during the year. We got Russell Scarf here. What's going on, Russell? He's a funny dude. One of the original people on the channel.
Where's Russell located? He just said good morning to us.
Oh, I don't know. Russell, you'll have to put it in where you're from. We don't
Russell,
know
are you in
from.
Europe or something? What's going on? A few hours ahead of us?
That's awesome, Harlan.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. We'll figure out where he is. The good old Russell Scarf.
Harlan, you're always welcome here, and you know that.
He's very witty. He might have some Irish in him because he's a very witty dude. But anyway, look, we had big news today, and look, somebody's already attacking me because the show's not him. The show is not about you. For the love of God, it's not about you. Jeez, this kid. Anyway.
Mommy's basement. Mommy's basement.
Zachary Wilson was benched, and we need to talk about that. I've seen a lot of texting from you. We haven't really talked live about Adam, so I'm going to give you the platform right now. I want you to give your take on the whole thing. How do you feel about Zach, the way he played? I want you to talk about that. I want you to talk about how do you feel about him being benched? How do you feel about what he said to the media? How do you feel mostly? I really want to know when the last thing you tell us about in this answer is, do you still believe Zach Wilson's going to be the franchise quarterback for the Jets?
Okay. Watching that game, it was one of those games I couldn't wait for it to be over. About midway through the second quarter, it was just like, this is going to be one screwed up finish one way or another. But it felt like watching the last half of the game, the last 30 to 40 minutes of the game was like watching one big loop. It was like the same thing over and over and over again. There was no story to the game. It was just one long movie that just had no plot changes until the very last play of the game. It was probably the most frustrated I've been watching Zach Wilson play quarterback. And there have been times when I could say, okay, he doesn't have any time to throw the ball, or he doesn't have, where's his weapons? I mean, he's losing this player, he's losing that player. I couldn't do that this time. I couldn't even get on the play calling all that much. If you want to get on Michael Ford, maybe for a 3rd and 3 shotgun handoff to Ty Johnson, you are more than entitled to do that. But I didn't think he called a bad game here. And I think a lot of people have been very quick to jump on the offensive coordinator because, well, if the quarterback isn't playing well, especially with one as much talent as Wilson, you probably want to go to the coaches. Wasn't the case here. We have seen videos broken down by many where there were receivers running open down the field, including a wide open Denzel Mims touchdown. I don't know if he would have caught the ball. It depends if he would have tried to catch it with his hands or his body. That's something that he hopefully has been working on this week. But at the end of that game, he still had the opportunity to take the team down the field. And we would have forgotten, by and large, that entire game if the Jets could have driven the ball down the field and scored just a field goal and won the game. They've been like, okay, won a good game, but we got the result we needed to. We got the monkey off our backs. It didn't happen. As far as the press conference goes, he proved his immaturity and that he is a very defensive kid. More than anything, the word I would use is defensive. It didn't strike me as being arrogant. Just somebody who didn't want to deal with the media scrum at that moment and deal with everything that was going on. If you go back to when Connor Hughes asks the question, Zach, do you feel like you let down your defense today? He does not. There is not a moment of hesitation. Connor didn't even have a chance to take a breath before Zach said no. I have a feeling deep down Zach might have known right at that moment it wasn't the wisest thing to say, but I think he was just trying to deflect it off of him, and now he realizes that doesn't work. That's not what a quarterback does. That's not what a leader does, especially one in New York. The quarterback is relied for his leadership as much as any position in all of sports. And I think this is what Zach Wilson needed to understand. And I think now that he's not only being benched, but being deactivated, he's starting to figure that out. Now, as far as where I stood on this, had it not been for the press conference, I would have been in favor of starting Zach Wilson this Sunday against the Chicago Bears, because the Bears have a Pop Warner level defense. The defense is anemic. They have allowed 35 points on average in their last 3 games. Since they traded Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn, the soul is gone from their defense. The only thing to be worried about on their defense is they got 2 good safeties in Jackson and Brisker. This would have been an amazing opportunity for Zach Wilson to get right, because his favorite wide receiver will be back, and the opponent is terrible. And I think if the game was on the road, I think he might have played. But as soon as Zach steps on the field, as soon as he overthrows one pass, the Boo Birds would have been ringing down 80,000 people strong. I'm not saying what you should do is coach to cater to the fans, because you can't do that. You can't please the voice of the fans, because we're so, we can be very divided on what we want. But the boos would have been overwhelming, and the chance for Mike White would have started to resonate from the top of the stadium all the way down to the PSL seats. And if he had just been rough play, I could have stood it. But the fact that he said what he said and he alienated his teammates, that he had his teammates questioning his leadership and what the hell he was doing, Robert Saleh had no choice but to sit him down. And I think he absolutely did the right move. And I feel good about it, because it is showing me this organization values accountability. They were talking about culture from the day Joe Douglas got hired. Now we're starting to see it. A big part of that is accountability. A lot of us wondered this about Robert Saleh. We know Robert Saleh is a great communicator. He can give a good speech. The players like him. But can he be tough when he has to be tough? Now we're learning that he can be. So I'm feeling pretty good as far as that goes. Twisted, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Just be patient. So, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to address, was the locker room. So that is when I heard the reports about the locker room, that was what triggered me and said, you can't start him this week. No matter how bad the opponent is, you have to. And I'm not a Mike White believer by any stretch of the imagination. I think at best case scenario, he'll have Josh McCown's career. That is the absolute best case scenario. But, what they're doing, they have to do. And again, this is by no means the end of Zach Wilson's career as a New York Jet. It's just one chapter, and the book is yet to be written. Not to go all Frankie from Flatbush here, but Zach will have his time. He'll be back. My opinion, if I had to guess, the Jets win this game, and then they will lose to Minnesota and put Zach in for the Buffalo game, because they will remember what Mike White did against Buffalo, and it was not pretty by any stretch. I think we'll see Zach in for the Buffalo game. But was it the right call to sit him this week? Yes, it was.
Yeah, I don't see how they had much of a choice, really. The game that he played just goes so far beyond anything I ever imagined I would see. Like watching that game back, my God, It was so bad. It was as bad. And it's what's crazy is the Jet fans that are still, and I'm not saying because I still support Zach in the sense that I still am rooting for Zach Wilson to be our franchise quarterback. My belief in that happening has seriously been compromised. As being somebody who's very hopeful and believing that Zach could be the franchise quarterback, I now see it as a long shot, which is tremendous and awful. But I would love for him to somehow work out and be the quarterback and be the franchise quarterback and be able to get behind him. And if he plays, I'm going to root for him with all my heart, just like I'm going to root for Mike White this weekend with all my heart, because at the end of the day, I'm a Jets fan. But, what I love about Coach Saleh is he's not influenced by the media or the coaches, as some people are saying. It's completely the worst take I've ever heard. Michael Saleh did this. Coach Saleh, Robert Saleh, did this completely on his own. He came out, and on Sunday and Monday, after the media thing happened, after he realized probably what was going on in the locker room, he came out on Monday and said, we're going to take a look and evaluate. We're not going to commit to a quarterback. It wasn't because anybody told him. It was literally Monday morning. He wasn't taking any criticism for it by the media that I saw. I don't see everybody screaming bench him, and they were shocked. If you heard the reaction of the Jets media, they were shocked. Like when he said it, somebody said, wait, you just said that you are not going to commit to Zach Wilson. They were shocked by it, but he had to do it. He absolutely had to do it. How do you face the team and say you're allowed to be on this team and you're allowed to keep playing and and not hold them accountable? I mean, I watched the game. I'm sure you did. We all saw the footage. Guys were open. There's no excuse. He was in the pocket, well protected on plays with wide open receivers. Denzel Mims was 25 yards downfield uncovered. It was literally having a catch. It was the dream of any quarterback. Can you imagine you're looking across the field and you see a 6'3" wide receiver alone in the middle of the field, alone. And Zach could not get himself to throw the ball. I love Zach Wilson and believed in him and wanted him to be a success so bad. But that play is haunting me because that was the game. We win the game if he simply throws a pass that any of us could have thrown in that moment. At that very moment, if I'm standing there, you transported me into his body, and I'm throwing to this big, strong, fast guy who's wide open. You don't think I can throw the ball up towards him? I mean, I play football. I play catch with my friends. That's not the point. The point is he's an NFL quarterback, and you have to hit wide open receivers. And he didn't. And that was just one example. There were multiple plays where guys were wide open. We saw the pass he made to his buddy Berrios. Ridiculous. We saw one to Mims, same spot. Ridiculous. We saw him overthrow Conklin and throw it right into the hands of a New England Patriot. This is not 3 or 4 bad plays. This was a game full of bad plays. You understand he got 70-something yards total passing. If you take away the horrendous pass where Mims had to come back for it, you take away that, it's under 40 yards passing.
Yep.
Under 40 yards total passing. And not because they were all over him and he was getting sacked 15 times. Not because his receivers were well covered and we were playing against Sauce Gardner all over the field. It wasn't any of those kind of things. We watched the tape. Jets were wide open. People are so mad at LaFleur. He created an offense where guys were wide open. What is he supposed to do as a coach? He's not out there to throw the ball to them. They were wide open. If Zach throws the ball to them, we love LaFleur because he's the guy who designed the plays that got the receivers wide open. But he can't go out there and do it for them. And by the way, LaFleur went in his press conference and must have blamed himself and said he was trash 15 times. It got to the point where I was like, all right, dude, all right. Stop beating yourself up because this wasn't this much your fault. If you don't have a quarterback who can throw to a broken coverage with a wide receiver standing alone with no one within 15 yards of him, there's nothing you could do with it. What are you supposed to do as a coordinator? What are you supposed to do? It makes no sense. And then, yeah, of course we didn't have a running game. Why didn't we have a running game? Well, let's see. We had Feeney playing. I mean, we're our top. I mean, how many offensive linemen are we missing? I mean, people are just going to forget. We lost Becton. We lost Max Mitchell. We lost George Fant. We lost AVT. We lost Turbig. I mean, we're down to Feeney, for the love of God. What do you expect? You expect to be able to block these guys? I mean, and they're going to yell and attack the offensive coordinator when somehow he managed to make a pocket for Zach Wilson. Somehow he managed to call plays where guys were wide open, and Zach Wilson could not throw the ball to them. That is not the offensive coordinator's fault. Did he make a couple of questionable calls during that game? Absolutely. And everybody who's jumping on Robert Saleh needs to really get their head examined and get some analysis, because we're here at 6-4. We have hope. We have a team again because of Robert Saleh. Because the defense is what's working.
Man, yeah, like you said, I am very encouraged by the coach right now. I had my doubts going into the season. I never wanted to give up. I had my serious doubts about Todd Bowles at the end of the first year, but I said, okay, I need to see a step up year 2. Didn't see it. I felt the same way going into this season with Robert Saleh. I need to see a step up. And it's taken some time, but I am definitely seeing that. I'm feeling pretty good about the coaching staff, that these guys know what they're doing. Isn't it interesting that nobody's talking about firing Jeff Ulbrich anymore? It seems like that was like the number one topic among Jets fans after about the first month of the season. Fire Ulbrich, fire Ulbrich. Sal's got to take over the play calls. You don't hear a whole lot about that anymore, do you? Because the players are playing like they should be. The defense, which had about 8 or 9 new starters, is finally meshing, and now Ulbrich looks like, friggin' like Tom Landry back when he was with the Giants as the defensive coordinator. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. But at the end of the day, we could talk about all these different things. And believe me, there's a lot on this team I want to talk about. I wasn't thrilled with the defense, and I seem to be in the minority. I didn't love what I saw from the defense on Sunday. Love the pass rush. Didn't love the tackling.
Well, the tackling in the first half was atrocious.
Oh, it was Quan Alexander blowing an open field tackle, allowing the Patriot player to go another 17 yards down the field. Thank God Nick Folk wasn't accurate that day, because that covered up for a lot of it.
Yeah, but even so, they didn't give up any touchdowns, and they tightened up what they had to.
Yeah, it was sort of bend but don't break, but unfortunately, as it turned out, this wasn't a game where that was going to be enough. Now, we could go back and forth and talk about the Sauce Gardner play early on in the game when, he stripped the ball away, or he stripped, and was it a fumble, was it an incomplete pass? Little did we know that would be our best chance to score a touchdown all game long. Who would have ever believed it? But they didn't turn New England over. And this was a situation where they had to do that. By the midway point of the third quarter, I was saying to the other people in the club, I was saying, if we don't get a block kick, if we don't get a turnover, something huge, we're not winning this game. Or like a 50-yard pass interference penalty. I mean, the only 2 first downs that the Jets had in the second half were on penalties.
And let's talk about
this. Is an NFL offense we're talking about here?
And let's talk about people who apologized. The special teams who gave out that punt return, their captain, Justin Hardy, came out and apologized, and made no excuses, even though he was illegally blocked in the back.
Thank you.
Right? He was illegally blocked in the back. Otherwise, he makes a play possibly. Right? The refs miss it, which they always find a way to screw us. And Justin Hardy doesn't come out and say, the refs didn't call a penalty where they hit me in the back. Justin Hardy came out and apologized and said, I am sorry on behalf of the special teams as the captain. We are all apologetic to the team. We got to get better. We got to be better, even though he was illegally blocked in the back. So he did apologize. Everybody apologized except Zach Wilson. And thank God we're going with Mike White over Flacco, who's a statue. Because I could not watch Joe Flacco play again. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. People are saying Flacco, Strevler. I don't know if they've ever watched football. But like Flacco is not the guy from 10 years ago. He's a statue. And thank God we're using Mike freaking White, because at least Mike White gives some upside. But anyway, we'll see. And if he doesn't do well, they either going to go back to Zach or they're going to go to Flacco. But it was a smart move because these guys see what's going on in practice. And Mike White is their best quarterback right now, or their best option. Thank you, Buffalo Jet fan, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Zach Wilson has a completion rate of 84% on balls thrown at or behind the line of scrimmage in 2 years, ranked 40 and 40. Mike White's 100% for his career. Yikes.
Yeah. How about when he throws? How about when they throw more than 20 yards down the field? How's that working for Mike White? 40 to 40. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good right there. I actually figured 84% was actually pretty good for Zach. I'm just glad Zach has an 84 completion percentage in any passing stats. Baby steps, Dr. Marvin.
But again, and the last thing I'll say about the Mike White thing is like, for anybody sitting in their home to question our coaching staff on Flacco or White, give me a break. You're not even seeing the practices. You don't know what you're talking about. Like, these guys are watching the quarterbacks practice in this system all the time. I think they know what they're doing. They want to win. Obviously, they believe Mike White is the best chance. Can you imagine trying to debate them? Well, I'm a fan, and I saw Joe Flacco play when he was on the Ravens, and he was really good. I mean, I
saw Joe Flacco play at Shea Stadium when the Colts came to town.
Yeah,
I was in the lounge section.
Let's use our brains here, people. The coaching staff is the ones that see these guys play. And if you don't trust them, we're 6-4. We're about to go 7-4, most likely. We're relevant in the NFL. I don't know what you want. I don't know what your problem is. Maybe you like losing. Maybe you'd rather be 3-6, 3-7. I don't know. But I'm really happy to have a coaching staff that's actually brought competency to our city, or whatever, our team, our organization. Thanks for the super chat, Buffalo Jet fans. You're hysterical. Love you, buddy. And I got an introduction. I got to introduce somebody. We got to get moving with this show. We got something very special going on. Oh, and about super chats, I just want to let everybody know. I'm putting this out there. My wife bought me that crazy chip, like that ridiculous chip, which I swear I'd never eat.
The one chip challenge?
The one chip challenge.
Oh.
And I am telling you this.
Yeah.
I will eat the one chip challenge, not tonight, not starting after this show, after my 1 year anniversary. I will eat that chip challenge when I hit $500 in one night in super chats. Now, that's not going to happen for a while. I got to get much bigger as a channel, but I'm just putting it out there. I'm letting everybody know. I will eat. I'm going to remind people. I'm going to keep promoting it. The day I hit 500 in super chats, I'm going to eat that chip on air and talk about the Jets. No matter how much pain I'm in, no matter how much I'm crying, if I have to go to the hospital, I'm going to put my phone on, go live on YouTube. I'm going to air the whole trip to the hospital and until they make me shut it off. So no jokes, no games. That's going to happen one day. But that was my price. It's going to take $500 in super chats.
Never,
to get me to
never, ever never, ever underestimate the desire of this chat to see you suffer.
I don't know. We'll see. Starting after this show, we'll see if they really want to do it. Anyway, let's get going here. I got to get the music going. We got a special guest to introduce. Ladies and gentlemen, this man, I call him a man. Now, understand. Something I want you to understand about this guy, okay? This guy could have been hanging out with Joe Pesci back in the days of that Singer and the Four Tops. When Pesci hung out, and did all that. He's Italian. He's got the full head of hair. He's like, hey, Four Tops. But he likes to geek out on football. He does. He geeks out on football. But other than that, he's a regular Italian guy. He's a father. Don't mess with me. He drives his car. He eats Parmesan heroes. He knows what he's doing. He is the statistical analysis, the tape film watching, Green Bay fan Patreon viewing, super chat maniacing, season ticket holding, parking pass holding, the greatest film analysis on the Jets Chaos Show in the world!
Gentlemen.
What's up, Dom? Jeremy, did you actually say it was the Four Tops growing up in Jersey eating veal parm heroes?
Yeah, I don't know if
Four
that's
Tops.
if that's politically correct here, I might be a little offended if it wasn't me.
They're the four tops on the streets of Hoboken. I can't help myself.
I'm telling you, boy. Ooh,
Won't
man.
you and nobody else? Oh my God.
This is, I gotta say, who is that guy? Who am I talking about? Frankie something.
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Right, Frankie Valli and the Four
Seasons.
Seasons. I just think of the guy who played Joe Pesci in The Play when I saw that on Broadway.
Yes, I saw it too.
Like Tom C, you could have played that guy. Like, hey, these guys are good. I think they're gonna make a good career for themselves. I
got film with them now, and I notice how the bass singer comes around here on the left side, and he stands against the barbershop pole, and notice that gets everybody right in line, so the harmonies all hit you at the same time.
That sounded a little like old Jewish woman, Adam. Mixed between Italian man and old Jewish
I'm watching
woman.
everybody look Raymond earlier. I need some water.
Oh, how are you guys? Are you calm?
It's been a crazy
Better
few
than
days.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Happy for the short work week. That's that. Yeah, let's go there anyway. Happy for a short work week.
Yeah. Mark,
and you know what? Ready to move on. I'm glad it's not a bye week. Let's get on to the next game. I want to turn the page. I want to start focusing on the Chicago Bears. That's what I want. I'm ready to do it now.
And I believe we're going to beat the Chicago Bears. I personally do not think Justin Fields is going to play.
Oh my God.
You know what? The more that comes out, the more I agree with that sentiment, because he came out today and said not only is his shoulder separated, but he has torn ligaments in the back of his shoulder in the scapula section over there. So, listen, could he play? Absolutely. It's his non-throwing shoulder. They can harness him up and it just becomes a matter of pain tolerance. For the life of me, I can't tell if this is just coach speak or if this is just a silly, silly decision, because if his shoulder is injured to that extent on a 3-7 team, what are you doing?
It doesn't make any sense. He's the franchise. And plus, you're going up against the New York Jets. Of all things, the one thing you have to respect, if you don't respect anything else, is the pass rush and what these guys do to quarterbacks. I mean, can you imagine Michael Clemens getting a hold of this kid and throwing him down?
Oh, my gosh. The best thing Justin Fields done is run with the football. One thing people don't talk a whole lot about is he is very prone to turnovers, to fumbling the ball and throwing interceptions. If he's a free runner and you let Quincy Williams, CJ Mosley, Quan Alexander, Jordan Whitehead take a shot at that shoulder, forget it. I could tell you, I have had basically the same injury where my AC joint popped playing football, my left shoulder. I know exactly what it feels like. There's 6 types, from type 1 to type 6 with this injury. Okay, if it's type 4, 5, or 6, you're going to need surgery. I didn't need surgery. I was probably a type 2 where I had to be in a sling for about 2 weeks. I literally could not put a shirt on. And this happened to me when I was in college. My roommate had to put my shirts on for me and take my shirts off. Driving a car, forget it. If I was steering, I had to hold the steering wheel down here with this hand and move it this way because I could not raise my arm past here.
Yeah.
I could absolutely not do that for 2 to 3 weeks. And based off what he's dealing with that type of an injury where he said the ligament is torn, that is at least a type 2 injury. So right now, he is a glorified running back, and that is it.
Well, like I said, if you want to spin it in any positive way, it's his non-throwing shoulder, right? Now, when you're throwing a football or when you're making any athletic move, you're using your whole body. So I'm not going to say that he's not using that front shoulder. However, it would be a whole different ballgame if it was his throwing shoulder. There's for sure you're not gonna play like that. But they can harness him up. They can shoot him up. Even though they don't do that anymore, which is BS. But it's just a pain tolerance thing. Listen, if he does get out there, I could tell you this: one bad fall or one bad hit, and I think we're going to see Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, no doubt about it. To me, it's just like you said. You referenced the record. It makes no sense to risk the kid's future. It doesn't make sense to do this. This game's not at home. Who are they trying to please? Like, who are they trying to impress right now?
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know the rationale behind it, which is why something deep down inside kind of makes me think that it's a little bit of coach speak and that it's Trevor Siemian all the way. Or it could be the complete flip side, is that they're, saying it's worse than it really is. And he comes out there. But I will attest that the kid's a hell of a runner. He's a hell of a runner, man.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears are leading the league in rushing yards per game. It's about like 180 yards per game that they run for on average.
Yeah.
But if you take Fields off if you take Fields off the field, and now you just have David Montgomery to deal with, because Khalil Herbert's out, their second running back. What you really have to do is focus on David Montgomery. The Bears don't have a wide receiver who's going to scare you. They don't have a tight end who's going to scare you. They got a couple of good run blocking offensive linemen, but that's about as far as it goes. If they don't have Fields, I mean, we could put a left-handed Chris Streveler in this game, and I would still pick the Jets to win if that's what it came to.
If Justin Fields doesn't play and we lose, I might not watch another game this year. I don't know.
No, listen, you
can't lose to the Bears if Justin.
You can't never say never. First off, I'll say this:
horrible
NFL team. Any given team, any given Sunday, right?
Yeah.
They are NFL players, and I wouldn't say that like with such like conviction if it wasn't for this goddamn coin flip guy. He's got my panties twisted, man. He's got me all in all sorts of knots, this guy. And listen, like we don't know what we're up against on our offensive side, right? We know it's going to be Mike White, and we hope and pray that it's something better than what we've seen from Zach. I mean, I don't think it can be worse than what we saw from Zach last week, but something mediocre to below average will suffice, as long as our defense continues to do what our defense has done. There's nothing statistically or nothing that I've seen at least that shows why our defense wouldn't continue. So listen, we could be in one of those. We could be in another one of those 9-6 games, man. It wouldn't. It's not out of the realm. I'll say that much. I don't expect Mike White to come in and light the NFL on fire week one. This isn't the Cincinnati game where I'm expecting a 40 burger. I think it's going to be very conservative on our end, and it's going to be one of those things. It's going to come down to persistence and consistency, and which team can hang in the longest. I'll bet my money that it's the Jets. I bet I hope that it's the Jets, but you never say never. The whole Mike White thing throws it all for a big loop, man. So, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm happy, as a fan of the New York Jets. I stand wholeheartedly with what I've heard and what I've seen from our coaches the past couple of days. I think they did what they had to do, because as more comes out and as you read between the lines and you listen to the press conferences and you read what's now coming out, Zach's lack of accountability really played a bigger part than I think we were led on to believe at first.
Yeah.
To me, that's the main thing. If Zach didn't conduct himself the way he did with the media, I think he would have likely played this game. He might have been playing with a leash. That is completely conceivable. But, yeah, with what he did, Saleh would not have been able to face the team if he started Zach in the spot. And you mentioned Fields. I can't remember the last time I heard an injury diagnosis this interesting with the timeline. He's day-to-day, but we can't deny it's season ending.
Yeah.
He'll be out anywhere from 3 days to 3 months.
Yeah,
that's pretty much where Fields is.
He's going to be questionable to see in 23. So
exactly right, just as we all are. See you in 23.
So there's a whole lot of negativity running around the chat. There's some people thinking that the Jets are going to fall apart, and that I want to say one thing. I'm going to make it very clear. I've said it a million times. I don't know how many times I have to say it. Okay, The second Adam Gase was gone and Joe Douglas was given full control of this team, the second he then hired Saleh and they started formulating what this organization has now become, you cannot lump us in with the rest of the Jets team. You can't say same old Jets. You can't say this is what the Jets do, because it's not the same people. Like, every era of the Jets doesn't have to do always with another era of the Jets when the people change. It's just silly. The only thing this team has in common with the same old Jets, the Jets from the 2015 or 2016 or 17, or go back to the 1980s or whatever you want to do, the only thing they have in common is the name of the team, where they play, in the uniforms. I mean, let's face it, it's different people. So we don't know what's going to happen in the next 7 games. We don't know. We don't say, oh, we lost to New England, we're going to lose 6 out of the next 7 and blow it, because that's what the Jets do. No, because we don't have the same people running this organization. We don't know what's going to happen. So people need to chill out and stop being so negative. And for the love of God, get over your trauma with the Jets and just be a fan and root for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. Just root for them.
I was so down after Sunday. I literally could not bear myself to listen to a podcast, watch a YouTube show, turn on the radio. I couldn't deal with it mentally. I couldn't deal with any content, and I couldn't deal with the chats, because I knew this is what it was going to be.
I turned off the Green Bean and Jeremy's live stream, because I just didn't want to, I had this pit in my stomach, and I just didn't want to watch these guys react to it.
Yeah, I mean, letting off steam, that's one thing, but like Green Bean says, gripe intelligently. Yeah, there's a difference between saying Zach Wilson needs to be sat down versus saying he's the worst quarterback the Jets have ever had. Okay, because we can point out plenty of quarterbacks who have been worse, who are certainly less talented. Now, he played as bad a game as he could have played considering his talent level. I completely agree. But one game does not define him. Okay, he's shown that he can be a competent quarterback in the right situation. Losing the pieces that he lost hurt him. That's not making an excuse. That's a reason. There's a difference. He has a lot to prove to all of us. Me included. I believe in the talent, absolutely, but now I'm wondering about the mental makeup. And more than that, in a bigger picture, just one other thing I'm going to say, and I'll keep this quick. I'm almost concerned about how did they evaluate him in terms of where he was mentally during the draft process. What that was like, is there something they could have seen that they missed? That's something that's going through my mind as well.
What people don't want to, not enough people talk about this. But that whole draft class, that was the COVID time, so the draft process was a lot different than what it was. Again, not making an excuse, they still, had very high grades on him. They loved what he showed, and, they knew that he was their guy. And in reality, like, sometimes the guys take longer. Sometimes the guys don't work out, and sometimes they come in and they light the league on fire right from the get-go. There's something to be said on your comment, Adam. Like, I think there's a lot of the mental that has to be addressed with Zach. To me, from an outsider looking in, it seems like the game has just never slowed down for him, and that it will happen. And because I don't think the book is closed on Zach Wilson, I really don't. But I think that they're going to take a hard pause, and they're going to kind of get him right, both physically and mentally, because he's broken right now. Fundamentally, he's not playing like not only the number 2 overall pick, but he's not playing like a top 32 NFL quarterback.
TMF Appliance Network comes in and makes the point that I think we've all been feeling the frustration of. It feels like we've been looking for a quarterback for this organization forever. 40-year Jet fan here, same boat, waiting and waiting for the guy. And then when we get the guy, they get hurt or something goes wrong. But I believe, I'm not a superstitious guy, and I believe that here we are at it again, trying to find the quarterback, and hopefully we'll find the right guy, if it's not Zach, before this opportunity, this window, I don't know how long the window is going to be, closes. And when I say window, I mean all of the amazing talent that we've brought in here over the past 2 years, and everything that's happening, and all the guys that are stepping up and looking so amazing. We just have to hope that we find the right quarterback, whether it's Zach developing, whether it's somebody that comes in the offseason. But at the end of the day, I just got to remember it with all the negativity. Last year, 12 months ago, would you rather be that team? Would you rather be the team 24 months ago? Would you rather be the team 36 months ago? I mean, it hasn't been pretty. At least we're sitting here in the hunt like we hoped that we could be. I mean, we are beating the Bears away from being 7-4.
Well,
wow.
Think of it this way too, Jeremy. Like the reason that I think one of the big reasons that this move is being made is, this season was meant to be yet another step, another rung up the ladder in our rebuild, right? But these young kids have come in and played like better than anyone ever expected. They showed that they're ready to produce. And I'm talking not only are this draft class, which is, been lights out. We don't have to, wax poetic about them. We all know what Sauce is and what Garrett Wilson has shown, and JJ and Michael Clemens. These guys have proven that they're not only, living up to, being NFL, drafted NFL talent, but they're exceeding expectations beyond belief. So this whole rebuild thing just kind of got revved up, which is why I think that, Joe Douglas and his crew of men and Robert Saleh and all the coaches realize that, like, everything kind of has to be accelerated. You have an opportunity right now. And to I think it would be naive of all of us as Jets fans to say, oh, you know what? We'll ride the season out. Next year, we'll bring a quarterback in, and look, we're going to have all the same pieces. You can't bank on that. You just can't. You don't know what you can have. You can bring back every single guy from our defense next year. You can re-sign Quan Alexander. You can re-sign Quincy Williams. You can re-sign Sheldon Rankins. You can re-sign LaMarcus Joyner. But there's absolutely no guarantee that the sum product of the whole is going to play exactly the same. You just can't bank on that. The opportunity is now, and the coaches and Joe Douglas see that, and they're making a decision for what's on for the best case scenario for our team right now. They smell blood in the water, man. They know this team is good right here, right now. You can't guarantee that it's going to be right here, right now, or right here, right now next year. You
can't guarantee the health is going to be as good as it was. Let's be honest. This defense has been remarkably healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. All things considered.
Yeah, you get and you got to remember the guys get 1 year older, right? You're gonna and now you're gonna have a 33-year-old middle linebacker. You're gonna have a 33-year-old free safety. Quan Alexander is going to be 29, and all these guys are going to have one more year of mileage on their bodies. You just can't guarantee the same level of production next year that you're getting this year. So they see it right now. So they said, we're in, we got a puncher's chance. Let's go get it, And to boot, I think that they also know what the coin flip guy says. And they said, hey, we have a chance to get to the championship game. Let's go.
So before we get to the film, let's read the super chat. Thank you so much, Red John. I don't know you, or I don't think I've seen you around here before. So
hey, Red.
Thanks for being here. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Super, because it really helps the channel. How about trading for Jameis if Zach doesn't work out? Who do you guys like besides Jimmy G, Carr, or Minshew? Well, you named two of the three guys. I like them all, but for different reasons, I like some better than others. Would you take on Aaron Rodgers' contract? So I want to start with that. No effing way. No effing way. That contract is a disaster. That's $50 million for a year for a guy who's done. So no, no, no. I am
So-
tired of bringing in ancient old men way past their prime.
So
the contract, yeah.
go ahead, after you, Adam.
Yeah, I actually pulled the contract up right here. So the cap hit after this year, he's under contract through 2026. Okay. This is the cap hit for the next 4 years. 31 million, 40 million, 59 million, 53 million. And with the dead cap hit, if you cut him, in the last year is the best case scenario, $8 million. You take an $8 million cap hit on the last year. Oh, by the way, next year the cap hit would be $99 million. Dead cap hit, $99 million.
Here's the reality. I want to answer in my take on Red John's super chat. First off, and I'll go backwards as well. Dollars to donuts. I think this is Aaron Rodgers last year playing football. There's been grumblings in the water that he's going to walk away, he's going to retire, so on and so forth. The contract is, you can't move that contract. My guess is that he realized, and it just came out today. I also just heard that he's playing with a broken thumb. He broke his thumb in the New York Giants game.
Yep.
He's closer to 40 than he is to his prime. He's one of the top 10, 15 quarterbacks we've all ever seen play. I'm not knocking that. But you're not gonna that's a bigger pipe dream. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets is a bigger pipe dream, I think, than Lamar Jackson is. And I don't think there's a snowball shot in hell Lamar Jackson gets out of Baltimore. But the other guys here, where'd they go?
Sorry, I'll bring it back up.
Yeah.
I just like Melvin's contract because statement because
you don't have to trade for Jameis because Jameis is a free agent. Jimmy G's a free agent. Gardner Minshew is a free agent. Derek Carr is not a free agent. However, Derek Carr Oakland has an out on Derek Carr's contract. So they have to make a decision on him 3 days after the Super Bowl, and they can choose to get out of it. And I don't know what the cap – I don't have anything in front of me, so I don't know what the dead cap would be for them, but I know it's very, very nominal comparatively to the amount of his contract. They tied that in into his deal. So listen, there's a good chance Derek Carr is playing for a different team next year. I don't know if it's going to be the Jets or not. I'm not going to say that, but there's a good chance that he's going to play for a different team. And that team won't have to pay for him. They're not going to have to pay draft capital. No one's going to trade for that contract either. Why trade for that contract if there's a better, there's more than a 50% chance that he's going to be, you can have him for just whatever you sign him for.
Yeah, the dead cap is $5.625 million on Derek Carr. That is very, very nominal.
Yeah, for a top 20 quarterback, that's nothing. I mean, listen, the Giants for Logan Ryan paid $7.25 million and then another $5.25. So they're paying $12 million over the next 2 years for Logan Ryan. $5 million for Derek Carr is peanuts.
I personally would love Jimmy G because he knows the system inside out. I don't think he would cost that much. I mean, I don't think he'd be cheap, but I don't think it would cost a ton of money. I believe you're the one that told me, Dom, you think 15,
I think he's
somewhere
gonna,
in between 15 and 20?
Yeah, I think he's going to be in that $16 to $18 million range.
You see, if we brought in Jimmy G for 16 to 18 million, if we have to, I'm still hoping there's a chance we won't have to. But if we have to bring him in, if we don't see Zach anymore this year, and Mike White doesn't blow us away, and we have to bring in something, if we brought in Jimmy G at that price, I would be very content because we know that he's capable, and he might be a superstar, but he's better than any quarterback we've had in here in a long, long time, and we know he's good enough with that kind of defense, a championship defense. And if we get our offensive line healthy, we know he's good enough to go to the Super Bowl. We know he can do it. We know he could be a game manager. We know that we won't have these issues if we had Jimmy G. I think it's interesting how little San Francisco fans like him and how it's amazing to me. They can't wait till he gets out of town. And if Trey Lance is a bust, boy, are they going to feel silly.
Well, listen, here's a couple things. Here's a couple things on Jimmy G. I agree that if, and again, we can play this hypothetical game all we want, but, just to appease the question at hand. if Jimmy G was a Jet next year, he walks in and, he's probably, one of the top 5 quarterbacks ever to put on the jersey for the Jets. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, But, there's grumblings that, that Saleh and LaFleur weren't the biggest Jimmy G supporters, from their days in San Francisco. So does he know the system? Yes, absolutely. But I think there's more to it. I don't know if these guys are real Jimmy G guys. To boot, let's just say, and this is way lower than what I think that the contract will go for. But let's just say it's however you want to break it down. 3 years, $45 million. All right, $15 million a year. However you want to break up that cap hit. $15 million a year. Right now for next season, the Jets have $7.5 million of cap space as of right now. We have $7.5 million worth of cap space. Now the cap's going to go up. It always does. Okay, but you're going to have to sign. You're going to have to pay Q, right? What do you think Q is? 20 million? 22 million?
Yeah.
You got to bring back Huff. I think the move for Martin solidifies the fact that they believe in Bryce Huff, and not only do they believe in Bryce Huff, he's played above. He's played to the level, if not above, the expectations that anyone had of Bryce Huff.
Oh,
he is a true threat in passing situations, right? He is a true go-getter.
He's a specialist, yes.
Yeah.
He does one thing, but he does it beautifully.
So let's just say you give him a similar contract to what you pay Jacob Martin, which is $5.5-6 million a year. Okay. So you're at $28 million right there for those two guys, just Q and Bryce Huff, right? So $28 million plus $15 million for Jimmy G. That's $40-something million. We only have $7 million left. The cap will probably go up another $30 million. That kind of puts us at even par. So, listen, can you make things happen? You absolutely always can. You see what the Rams do. You see what Dallas does. You see what the Saints do every year. They're in negative cap space by millions, tens of millions of dollars every year, but seem to make it out. By adding the voidable years and kicking the can down the road. But that is not a game. I can tell you this much: it's not a game that Ozzie Newsome did in Baltimore, who is the true mentor to Joe Douglas. It's not a game that Howie, what's the guy in Philadelphia? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Howie Roseman played as a GM in Philadelphia. It's a very slippery slope. You do that if you have true expectations that right here, right now, your team can win. Why are the Rams, and F those draft picks? Do you think they really believe that? No, they don't. But that they're in this win now mentality, and they're so far up against the cap, they can't afford these first and second round draft picks when their contracts come up in 3, 4, 5 years. You just can't afford them,
Yeah, so just to answer Travis's question, the real question is not why would the Niners turn this team over to T. Lance? You see, they already traded 3 first-round draft picks for T. Lance, and they already alienated Jimmy G. And the only reason Jimmy G is there is I think he restructured, but he's stuck there, and because nobody else wanted him because they didn't want to pay him. So what makes you think, Travis, that Jimmy G would stay with the 49ers after they drafted his replacement and have done nothing but try to replace him? Why would he want to be there?
Well,
When
Jimmy G also has a
makes
clause
no
in
sense.
he's got a clause in his contract where he cannot be franchised by San Francisco.
Right. He doesn't want to be there. That's why he signed and restructured that deal that way, because he wants out of there more than probably any quarterback in the NFL wants out of their team.
Listen, he bet on himself, man. And guess what? He's going to earn himself a paycheck next year. He's going to earn himself the opportunity at 30 years old, however old he is.
He's 31 years old. It's hard to believe that he's in his 30s, but he is.
Yeah, but you know what? In quarterback terms, that's a puppy, man. 31 years old is right in his prime. You know, these quarterbacks don't hit prime at 22, 23, which is another reason why I think we have to really hold the whole Zach thing in perspective. You know, Zach only played 2 years really in college. He started for 2 years. He had one very mediocre year, and then he had the COVID year where he blew the doors off of, Southeast Texas State and Helen Keller College of the Blind. You know what I mean? So
Hey, I got accepted. Hey, I got accepted to work there. What are you talking?
So, I digress. He's still only 22 years old. These guys don't hit their prime. Quarterbacks don't really get their going. Look at what Geno Smith's doing. How long did it take him to get it? And he's doing great. 31 is not old for quarterback. 31 is ancient for running back. 31 is not old for quarterback.
I don't think it's old at all. I think he can be easily.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy G earned him, if he continues the season he's having right now, I wouldn't be surprised if he earned himself a 4-year contract. And I wouldn't be surprised if that 4-year contract prices him out of the Jets' opportunities, unless you want to make wholesale changes. The thing that's, the blessing and the curse is that we've accumulated all this young talent, right? All this high pedigree young talent, which is beautiful because these guys are hitting the AVTs of the world and the Sauce Gardners and all this. But the curse of it is that at some point you're going to have to pay to keep them, right? So the cost of a $15 to $20 million quarterback for the next 2 years might be it might say, okay, we could get out of Carl Lawson's contract next year for $600,000 in dead cap money. We can be out of Corey Davis's contract next year for $333 million in dead cap money. Those are outs that were put in specifically for Joe Douglas. Right.
Just to answer Trent the Great's question, again, it is not up to San Francisco. It is up to Jimmy G. San Francisco cannot even franchise him. They have no control of him. He is a complete unrestricted free agent. It is not up to the Niners in any way. And the Niners invested 3 first-round draft picks and just paid Tebow a bomb of money. So they're not in great shape to pay a lot of money for Jimmy G, especially because they want Trey Lance to be their starter. That's what they want. So,
listen, you're right, Jeremy. They have no control. The only thing that they can do to retain Jimmy G's rights is offer him a contract, which the other 31 teams in the league will be able to do as well. He is truly an unrestricted free agent. He's going to be able to call his shots.
This could be very interesting with a draft class that appears to be very high on quarterbacks. What teams are actually going to be looking to get their quarterback through free agency. I don't think the list is going to be all that extensive.
Listen, I think Carolina and I think Houston are definitely in the market for quarterbacks. And they're going to be drafting probably within the top 5, right?
Exactly.
I would assume.
I think draft,
I think there's a good chance New Orleans, even though they don't have a first-round pick, they're going to be looking for a quarterback. If the Raiders cut ties with Derek Carr, they're in the market for a quarterback. You got 2 or 3. You got 2 guys that are true, top of the draft first-round talents, and then you got a bunch of guys who depends on the scouts for each specific team. Some guys are going to like Will Levis, and my take on him is that I think he's a very good quarterback. He's got a ridiculously strong arm, and he comes from a pro concept playing for Kentucky. He knows, he's going to be able to probably step in to whatever situation he falls and be able to play and produce right away. He's probably the most NFL ready. He's not the most talented, but he's probably the most NFL ready. And that's going to play a part. That some teams are going to like that about him. Then you got the guys that are question marks. The kid from Tennessee who just tore his ACL. Anthony Richardson, a dual, very, very athletic, dual threat quarterback in the mold of Justin Fields, who plays for the University of Florida. He's as athletically talented of a football player as I've watched, and I'm a Florida fan. He's as athletically talented as a quarterback as I've seen since Tebow. But he throws like Tebow. You know, he's got a 53% completion percentage in his career in college. You know, that's not even Lamar.
Okay,
Yeah.
Now I think while we have this chance and this opportunity, I think we should go to the tape.
Yeah. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, I guess. I don't know. I sure as hell didn't want to break down Zach's 7 completions and see what he did and what he did wrong. You know, we've all been through that ad infinitum this week. We don't need to watch that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to get that drunk the night before Thanksgiving.
So what I did do is, you know, obviously this was before the injury, before I knew that he was hurt and possibly going to miss the game. I really wanted to take a look at Justin Fields. So I dove hard into a lot of his tape. I watched the Atlanta game. I watched the Dallas game. And I watched the New England game. And you see 2 different quarterbacks when you watch Justin Fields. You know, he has definitely matured. His game has matured from the beginning of the season until now, you know. But I didn't know, you know, I haven't really, you know, up before this week and really getting a chance to break down some of the film. I haven't really watched him, you know. You know, I watch highlights here and there, you know, so on and so forth, but I never really got to see. And what I saw, and it's just my opinion, I saw 2 completely different quarterbacks. You know, I saw a quarterback who is, you know, is very, very athletically gifted. I mean, right now, I think he's the 5th or 6th leading rusher in the NFL.
He's the 5th leading rusher in the NFL.
5th leading rusher in the NFL.
More yards. Yeah.
That alone should tell you all right? But on top of it, the guy has a very strong arm, right? He can do stuff on rollout and on the move that most quarterbacks can't do. So he's very elusive. You know, he's a big, strong kid, so he does a good job of getting away and breaking free from some ongoing pressure. But on the flip side of that, you see a guy who's still learning how to be a quarterback. You know, left in the pocket, left to make decisions, he struggles. You know, he does his best work ad-libbing, outside the box, rolling, you know, those kind of, free form plays, you know, very similar to where Zach's strengths were, you know, the off script kind of plays, I think he does. But what I did notice, and I know I talked to you guys, you know, briefly in the chat throughout the week, is I think whoever the offensive coordinator is for Chicago, I don't know who he is, I don't know his name, he does a phenomenal job scheming the offense around Justin Fields' strengths. And we'll get into it. We'll watch. I think I got 9 or 10 plays here to go down between a couple games. So if you give me the option to present, share screen, I'm going to get into it. Let's see which one this is. Yep. Okay. Can you guys see?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'm gonna start with the last game. I'm gonna start with his last game, which is Atlanta's game. Okay. Can you guys see everything? Everyone?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're good.
You see the little hand moving around?
I see the hand moving around.
Yep.
Here's a very typical formation for Chicago, as I saw in the 3 games that I watched. It's this 0-1 personnel where they have 4 wide receivers, no tight ends, 1 running back, right? And they have a 3-by-1, so they got 3 to the wide side, and they're going to actually motion this, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they motion the running back into here. So I want to just point something out first. So I'll geek out a little bit for you. This formation right here is very telling. I don't know if you guys, Jeremy or Adam, if you're familiar with like certain pass route concepts or not. But what you're going to see a lot from this formation is they're going to attack different levels, right? So you got 3 guys here all on the line. One of them usually goes deep in some sort of deep route, whether it's a 9 or a go route or some sort of post or flag. One guy will hit the middle section and one guy stays flat. That's very common in when you have 3 to a side, when you have trips to a side. It's they attack different levels. It's offensive coordinated 101. So this is interesting right here because they bring the running back into here. And so now they have another receiver that this defense has to attest to. So they're in a 3-3-5 nickel. So they got an extra defensive back on the field. They got 3 defensive linemen, and they got the linebackers. And Field snaps the ball here, and this is they dumb it down pretty much for Fields here. They're just giving him one read, right? And I actually, the play is nothing crazy. The running back ends up making a good play, but I'll play it through, and I'll let you see. So the running back actually makes a good play here and breaks the tackle and gets close to the first down, okay? But, sorry. Let's bring it back to the beginning. So we talked about the route concept, right? When you see 3 to one side, it's usually they're going to attack levels. One's going to be shallow, one's going to be in the mid, and one's going to be deep. So what they do here is actually a little bit different. You'll watch Justin Fields here, and he's keen on this. He's keen on the linebackers. He wants to see what the linebackers doing. They're showing press here. They're showing off here. If it's straight man, he's trying to read what these guys here are doing, right? Because if these guys step up and play, man, he's going to hit the deep concept that's going down the field. But if you watch the linebackers and if you watch Fields as he snaps the ball, he's looking right here at this linebacker. The linebacker steps up, and this guy's going to clear out. He's going to run his deep, and the other 2 guys just settle. They settle under the zone, right? And the linebacker stays home, right? So now you can't hit the deep guy unless you hit him with a bullet right here, which is, he's not even looking right now. So these guys stay home. Linebacker stays home, and these guys just stop in their little curl routes right here. So Fields is reading these linebackers. He sees they stay home, and he doesn't have the clear out here, so he just turns and hits the running back that comes out of the backfield. All right? So it's a very simple concept. He's given Fields one read. The corner drops off. That running back stays. And we can watch it from this. Oh, no. We can watch it from this formation from the back. You'll be able to see Fields a little bit better. He's reading 54 right here. He's looking. Linebacker stay home. Boom. He turns and hits his guy. Very simple. Running back makes a good job. That's Montgomery. He makes a couple guys miss and gets close to the first down. Okay? Very simple, right? One read. It's not there. Hit him in the flats because that's wide open. So the coaches do a good job for Fields throughout this whole game. So I'm going to move to the second play here. Okay, so we're in 11 personnel here. Okay, we have 3 wide receivers, 1, 2, 3. We got 1 tight end, and which is right here, and we got the running back, right? Mm-hmm. So with the tight end, now you got that 3-man formation again. Oops, you got the trips to one side. The defense is playing a variation of the nickel. They got 2 down linemen. They got 4 linebackers with the extra nickel back, 2, 4, 5. This is, again, something that Chicago does a lot, and it's a lot of misdirection. We watch it play. So this is designed run. Now, he gets first yard. Watch the play again. So they're showing play action here. They're showing dive. They're pulling the guy. They're pulling the guard out. But watch what the tight end does. He goes in motion with this as they're pulling for like a counter tray, which we saw New York Jets do against Buffalo that last quarter, right? Where they bring 2 guys down and drive out. So the tight end he starts here play goes, he fakes here, and then he just stops and orbits back, and now he's the lead blocker, right? So this linebacker gets sucked in. He bites the fake, designed play. Again, this is something, you can watch, boom, and he turns back around. And this linebacker gets sucked in. This is something that's huge with Justin Fields. And what's going to be huge for our defense. You have to set that edge. You cannot get sucked in and give this guy anything outside the tackle box because he's going to make you pay with his legs, and the offensive coordinator is going to make you pay because he schemes stuff like this. You can watch it here. There's no one here, right? Let me rewind it. Watch this linebacker right here, 54. He's completely sucked into that fake, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Easy first down. Again, a lot of misdirection, a lot of play action, anything they can to get Justin Fields outside the tackle box and let him use his athleticism. Our defensive ends, JFM and Johnson and whoever else lines up at the edge on the end are going to be integral in us shutting down Justin Fields. We have to set and keep contained on the edge. If you don't and you let this guy outside the tackle box, he's going to probably beat you outside. He's probably going to gain yards. I mean, I don't know who they played. Was it New England or was it the game after New England? Adam, maybe you remember where he had 180 something yards rushing. And it was just because their line.
Detroit. I think it was Detroit. They played Detroit recently. Yeah.
And Detroit they just could not contain on the edge. I mean, this is a well-designed play, man. It's a beautiful play. Wait, I'm wrong one.
How is it possible that the Bears' only win in their last 8 games was against New England?
Yeah.
Cannot understand it.
It's just a beautiful design play, and everyone else just matches up helmet on helmet, and you have a lead.
I can't remember ever seeing that. The way that I think it was Komet turned around like that, I can't.
Yeah, it's an orbit motion. Look, he's a lead blocker, and he's got no one there because the linebacker got so far sucked in, right? Yeah, and these are the 2 wide receivers that were out there. Remember, they started in a trips formation with 1, 2, and 3, right? So all they had to do is just match up helmet to helmet. And look, you have all this open room with your tight end as your lead blocker. And watch what he does.
And this lineman's running down here in space too, 71. He could take on somebody in the secondary.
Yeah. It's just a great play. It's a great play. Okay. So here's the next one. Again, 11 personnel, 3-by-1, 1, 2, 3 to the wide side, right? And they're back in their nickel defense, 4-2-5. But what do you notice is that they're off, right? Again, a beautifully designed play. It's a design bootleg, and you got the 3 guys, and they run their levels. You see that? You got one that runs deep, one's in the middle, and one's shallow. All right? They boot it out, and it's just a really athletic play by the defender. We'll watch it again. You got your 3 guys here. Remember what I said. When you have 3-by-1, you can always expect some sort of levels, and that's exactly what they do. This guy takes it deep. This guy hits the medium, and then one of these guys comes in short. The linebacker right here, you can watch him, and he's sucked up. You see how he's sucked up right there? You have this guy, you have Montgomery there. All he's got to do is just close out on this block. That play action, roll out bootleg. He's wide open. You see that? He's wide freaking open right here. There's not a guy in space. All Justin Fields has to do is lead him here, and it's an easy touchdown. But the cornerback, you see him get up? Can you see this right here? He just makes a great play and deflects the ball. You can watch it from the back angle. It's a lot easier to see. But again, misdirection. They hit their levels concept, and it works. Wide open. This guy gets sucked in. And this guy, the nickelback just breaks on Justin Fields and just makes a good play. That's just the defender being athletic. And he stopped what would have been an easy cakewalk touchdown. So they switch it up here for your next play. Let me just stop it here. They're in 13 personnel. So you got 1, 2, 3 tight ends. You got your one flanker out here, and they're showing a base 3, 4. 3 down linemen, 2 outside linebackers, 2 middle linebackers, corner, safety, 2 deep. Again, another scheme that Chicago runs a lot, which is really good for Justin Fields' repertoire, is the read option, right? So here it is. He's just reading this linebacker, right? That's all he's doing. When he reads that linebacker stays home. He probably should have pulled that thing out. Okay, you can watch it again here. Now, if you watch it from the back, this is just bad offensive line play. If you watch this guy right here, number 97, the 3 tech, he just takes this guy to town right here. So all Justin Fields is doing is keying right here. So he sees this guy coming down on this linebacker, and that's why he gives it, because Justin Fields is like, okay, I'm going to, there's a huge line right there. He's got a lead block. He doesn't account for this guy that's on the ground who gets up and makes the play. And I want to rewind it because that's 97. I told you. Watch him right here. Watch what he does to this guard. Blap. Now, that's Quinnen Williams all day long. Quinnen Williams can do this stuff right here. Boom.
That's that left guard. I think that's Cody Harris. ESPN rated him as, I think, a top 5 run blocking guard in football.
Yeah,
that's saying something.
So when Justin Fields sees this, I think he hands off because I don't think he sees this guy on the ground. If you think about it, this Justin Fields 6'5", and this guy's on the ground. He probably doesn't see him. So he sees this lineman out on this linebacker, and he thinks he's got a lane here. What he really should have done is pulled this out because he had this guy secured the outside linebacker here. He probably could have beat this, or he would have just had a cornerback to beat to the edge, who gets sucked in himself. So Justin Fields makes the wrong play here. Kudos to 97, the 3 tech tackle end for taking Cody Whitehair to school. Watch it one more time. Let's watch it from this view and see if we can see if he had kept that ball, if he had pulled the ball back, what that edge would have looked like. Yeah, because you already had the safety. If you saw the deep safety here committed hard to the run, I think that's a mistake by Justin Fields. He really has got to pull that back and really and just get to the outside. At worst comes worst, he's one-on-one with AJ Terrell, and I like Justin Fields' chances there. Right? So here's the last play of this game that I got, and I think it's a great play. Again, beautifully schemed. They're in spread formation, 0-1 personnel, which means 4 wide receivers, 1 running back. You got press man all the way across. You got the 2 deep safeties, right? And this is a play that if you watch NFL, you see at least twice, 3 times a game. It's just perfected. It's just really, really executed well by the offense. And it's a beautiful throw by Justin Fields and really shoddy play by the defenders. You're going to watch these 2 guys up here. Just your normal little pick. This guy, the inside receiver, wheels out. The outside receiver cuts across and kind of just sets that pick for the guy. And again, that's just bad communication, right? We saw it happen in the 4th quarter, Jets-Buffalo. The Jets ran a same route concept in the corner of the end zone, if you remember, and Buffalo played that right. They kind of played that banjo where the outside guy stayed to the outside and the inside guy stayed to the inside. And Zach ended up just throwing it away and taking the field goal. So this is I'll let you, I mean, he's wide open. And I'll play it again so you can watch it. Again, good routes by the receivers. Is he blocking? No, it looks like he's still running his route. Just he did his job. And it's a great ball by Justin Fields. Again, I'm pretty confident Jeremy could make this throw. But if you look, that's on.
I could run it. I could get open against that coverage.
Look, this is all
Matt O'Leary for sure.
This is all arm talent, though. It's a nice ball. He leads his guy. He throws it into a place where only his guy's going to catch it. But if you watch his footwork, his mechanics, not ideal. Steps back. He's still throwing off his back foot. Very a la Zach Wilson. Now, it might be just because he doesn't really have to put a lot of mustard onto it. But again, not what you like to see from a young quarterback. Just watch his footwork. You'll see him gets the ball 1, 2, and instead of stepping up, he steps back with his left foot. Again, that's one of the problems, one of the big problems that Zach has right now, is that he's not driving into his throws, right? And if you think about just general geometric angles, right? If you're moving forward on a throw, everything's going to stay going that way. But once you're falling back or throwing off your back foot, everything leans back and your arm goes up, which is why Zach keeps airmailing all those, Berrios on the wide receiver screens or on the, the Conklin ball across the middle. It's because he's falling back. Again, these are some of the mechanics that you need to, at this point, he should have right. Correct? This is one of the reasons why I think they got to kind of reset him. So I'm going to go on. I'm going to stop sharing here. You guys have any questions about those 5?
Oh, it's interesting though. I don't see us do that. They're very different offense than we are, right? Because we don't rarely line 3 guys up like that, and a 4 wide receiver is 1 alone.
Their offense is very different. Now, Atlanta is a very, 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 very high percentage man team, which the Jets are not. So I don't know how this, it's going to be interesting. Some of these schemes, some of their concepts won't work against, a strict, 3 deep, 7 guys, in their zones, if the defense executes properly, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see it, but Atlanta is a much more man-based defense. They get out, they cover you, they press you up, they cover you across, and they try to create pressure by bringing extra men.
Gotcha. Yeah. By the way, the Bears offensive coordinator is Luke Getsy. They just hired. Yeah, I heard about last January. So that's the OC.
So I'm going to switch this. Can you guys see this?
Wait 1 sec.
Not yet.
Not up yet.
No? Okay.
Not yet.
Then I got to stop sharing.
Yeah, you got to stop. Exactly. You got to stop sharing and then
right back.
Redo that as the only one.
Share screen. Chrome. Go to this one. Now can you see? Oh, I'm in the wrong one, though. Sorry. I went in the wrong one. My fault. Okay. Are you with me?
Yep.
There we go.
Okay.
Coming up. Yep. We're good. We're good to go.
Yeah. So obviously the Bears are in orange here. This is an interesting formation. 21 personnel, right? So they got 2 wide receivers, they got 2 running backs, they got 1 tight end, right? Again, they work a lot off of misdirection and play action, but this is an interesting concept. Now, you guys are big enough football fans. What do you know about Dallas? Tell me the first thing you think about when you think about Dallas's defense.
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was getting at. You know that you're going to get pressure from Dallas, right? In a different way than you're going to get pressure from the Jets. You're going to get pressure from the Jets too. But you gotta kind of hone in and really pay attention to Micah Parsons, right? So it's an interesting formation, okay? But I want you to watch what they do from it. The running back comes out and he stays home. So they go with the little play action fake and they drop. So they're in max protect. And this guy's got a step here. And he's got a clean ass pocket. And he's got a strong ass arm. But he underthrows his receiver. Again, look at the concept. They only send 2 out and a route. They keep home everyone else. And they had the play they wanted. This is their first offensive play of the game. Their first offensive play of the game. They're only sending 2 guys out. They're in man press right at the top, and he beats the press. And it's just a bad throw. Again, you can't say anything. He had no pressure. He had no time. Watch this. He steps back. He steps into the throw, and he just puts a little too much under it. This is one that he's got to really use.
The receiver on the bottom had a little more. Yeah, the receiver on the bottom actually had a little more separation than the one he actually threw the ball to. So decision making too.
Yeah. He tried to just loft it and get it there, and you know, I don't know. To me, this should have been a touchdown. I think this is a bad throw by Fields. He's got the strength. He's got the arm strength to lead him there. He can throw the ball 40 yards in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't. So be it. Next play here, they're in 11 personnel. They got the twins stacked up top, and they got the tight end here, and they got this guy in tight. So they're showing 2 by 2, right? And what do you got down here on the defense? You have them in a 4-2-5, right? You got your 4 defensive linemen, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 2 linebackers. You got a cornerback here. You got a corner here. You got one of the safeties that creeps up here to cover. You got him man match down there. You got press coverage down there. So what does Chicago do? They want to see what kind of defense they're getting. So they just move the tight end. They move Kmet over, and they see the nickelback chase him. So they know, all right, you got man coverage
right
across, right? So now you got their what do you got? You got your 3 wide receivers there. We talked about that, right? We talked about the levels concept.
Layers. Level.
We talked about the levels concept, right? 1 deep, 1 high, or 1 deep, 1 middle, 1 shallow. You know, if Dallas is doing any sort of film study, which we know that they are, they know that, you know, 70 to 80% of the time, that's what you're going to see from this formation. And you got tight press down here. All right, so the tight end motions over, and the nickelback trails them, so they know they're in man coverage. And all they're doing is they're trying to set up a screen. Trying to set up the wide receiver screen. Michael Parsons gets in the backfield, breaks it up, can't get it out. Now, whoever that receiver is, I don't know. I'm going to rewind that. Let's get to the start here. So this inside receiver, smart. So you got the rush here, and he breaks the contain. Again, he's athletic enough to get outside of that. That's Lawrence, I believe. Just a poor job. This guy's trying to chop him because they're trying to set up the wide receiver screen. That little swing screen. So if you watch him drop him, and 90 here just kind of gets away from it, but takes a bad angle. You cannot come at Justin Fields at his inside shoulder. You just can't do it. You can't come in at his inside shoulder because he's going to beat you outside. And that's exactly what it does. It beats him outside, and that inside receiver sees the trouble, and he sees Justin Fields break out of the pocket. So all he does is he just finds the soft spot in that zone. Just finds the soft spot in that zone and sits down. You can watch it from here. Now, the play ended up coming back because they had an illegal man downfield. Because why? Because it was supposed to be a screen, right?
So the OLs ran forward.
Yeah. So, but if you watch this inside guy, he's out there blocking. He's blocking and sees what happens, and he just moves and he just finds a soft spot. It's great. A great play. Wide receiver peels off, finds a soft spot for the reception. Again, the play comes back. That's besides the point. But yeah, again, that defensive end cannot break contain. You can't rush at Justin Fields inside shoulder. He's going to beat you outside 10 out of 10 times. If anything else, if you can, if you're kind of dissecting the play, just kind of come in at an angle, kind of beat him to the outside. Let Justin Fields try to break it inside where you have other defensive players. But if you're the last man on the block on the outside, you just can't let him get outside because he'll make plays like that, and he does it time after time after time. Keep him in the pocket and force him into a bad decision. It's going to come out advantageous for you. You let him outside the pocket, off kilter, all bets are off because he can beat you with a strong arm and he can beat you with his legs. So I'm going to move up a little bit here. Yeah, I'm just finishing this play here. Here we go. So, again, another formation that we've seen already, something that they run a lot. They got their three. They got their three wide, the 3x1, 0-1 personnel, 4 receivers, 3x1, and they're playing against a dime defense. So they got 6 defensive backs on the field. They're showing 1 deep, which at first glance tells you that they're man across, right? They're manned up here, they're pressed up here, they're pressed up here. You could assume that you're going to have man coverage here. You can assume that the way they're lined up, that you're going to have man coverage here. So here's your mismatch. But, the defense shifts back, safety drops back into a 2-deep man. So a 2-deep man. So these guys are not really playing in man. They're manned up on the outside. They're playing press. But the linebackers drop. See? He drops back with him. He's playing this hook zone here. And all they do is they send their guys out on vertical routes. They send them all out on vertical routes because they're setting up a little middle screen. Again, I'll let you watch the play. It doesn't go for much yardage. Again, they're in a 3rd and long situation here. So where we used to just hand off those draws to Frank Gore for 3 yards when it was 3rd and long. Or when we see, we do those little dump offs to Michael Carter now or to Ty Johnson where they scramble for, usually 1 to 2 yards shorter than what we need. That's all they're doing. They're just trying to make some extra room here. So they spread it out. They send all their receivers on goes. And they just set up the middle screen here. And they don't get much out of it. They maybe 10 yards, but they needed 20. Again, I want you to watch Fields' arm. It's just a little flick of the wrist, man. Boop. Very, very similar to Zach Wilson in his throwing style. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for him. But a lot of quick little weird angles, quick little strong little wrist flicks, and the ball gets there. All right, next play is at 13:21. Letting this one go through. This is a little dive. They do an awful job in this game, an absolute awful job run blocking their offensive line. Okay, so they changed things up. Now you just saw the end of the last play where they used this formation, right? They used this 13 personnel where they got 3 tight ends on the field, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, and they pounded the ball 2 consecutive plays. One was a little counter, one was a little dive. Neither of them gained much yardage. The interior of the offensive line for Chicago, the offensive line for Chicago in general, for me and watching their film, was very lackluster. There's just not a lot good going on. On paper, our defensive line should be able to feast against our offensive line. That being said, again, good offensive scheme. Right, good offense coordinator. Now, this isn't really a Justin Fields play, not at all. But it's something that we're very familiar with. We've run this formation, right? We've run we know that LaFleur likes the concept of having 12 personnel, 13 personnel. with multiple tight ends on the field. Little jet sweep. Look at the yardage that it gets, though. This is something that I think LaFleur hopefully picks up on, because I can see Berrios taking this to the house. Again, not a Fields play, but just a good offensive concept. Something, like the offensive coordinator, like I said, he's earned my respect, man. He changes things up. He's making you think. He comes at you strong from this formation with 2 dives right up the middle. They're looking for it again. And this is a well-blocked play. These guys all bite on the fake. And look, you got 2 guys out in space. You got this guy to kick out, this guy to seal, and you let the wide receiver, all he has to do is beat Diggs here, which you can't. Shame on him. So I got one more play for you. I'll let you watch it from this angle. Just watch how these guys bite in on the fake. Boom. Berrios takes that to the house, man. So this is the last play I got for you guys. Again, they're in 11 personnel. They got 3 receivers, 1, 2, 3. They're stacked to the wide side here. You got the tight end. So the twins are stacked. You got the tight end over here, 2 by 2. Again, a lot of play action, a lot of misdirection. We're going to need strong player by defensive end. We're going to need smart reads by our linebackers, which I think we do. This year, we've done a lot better than we have in years past, especially C.J. Mosley on like not biting too hard, or if he does bite on those play action fakes, he busts his ass to get back into play. So all you're doing is, they do a little play action. They fake the toss sweep, and it's a designed rollout, perfectly designed play. Gets 6-7 yards. Watch it from here.
Straight to the right.
See the defensive end again? Watch the defensive end here. Watch 92. All the way sucked in. Not a chance. Right? The nickelback comes up and makes that play. Now, there were some instances in the Dallas game where they were actually spying Justin Fields. That's not one of them, but what they were doing is they were taking a nickelback. They were taking an extra defensive back. Sometimes there's a corner, sometimes there's a safety, and they'd pop him outside. They'd pop him. They'd line him up as if he was an extra outside linebacker, and he was just spying on Justin Fields. So Dallas got into the rationale that they needed to make sure that they contained Justin Fields, because outside, you let him outside or you lose your edge, just like he does here. 92 gets completely sucked in. Right? Now the nickelback's got to make a decision, because he's actually fooled. If you notice, he was taking off towards the run also, but he was, he gave himself enough room to get on it. So this guy right here has got to make a decision. He can drop back, he can drop back and try to get in the face of that wide receiver that's out here, but instead he closes down on Justin Fields, who stops and pops and hits a guy who's wide open. There's not a guy within 12 yards of him, right? This number 6 closes down pretty hard, but again, they gained almost got the first down from it. Again, beautifully designed play. Chicago's not the most talented offense in the world, but they're going to make you think. They're going to try to fool you into big chunk plays, and that's how they operate, man. They make you make the mistake and get the big chunk plays from it. Whether it's a deep bomb down the sideline, whether it's Justin Fields breaking contain for 60, 70 yards. I'll stop the screen. What did I got?
Yeah, it's so interesting because the Bears have the leading rushing offense, 195 per game, 195 yards per game, but only 128 passing yards per game, which is the worst in the league. Dom, I do have a question. Did you see much in the way of Chase Claypool and how he's being utilized with the Bears?
So in the Atlanta game, he is being utilized. He wasn't being utilized much at all. I think he had 3 targets in the Atlanta game. They used him a lot as listen, he's one of the best stalk blockers from the wide receiver position as there get, and that's exactly how they used him. So he hasn't been integrated yet too much into the offensive scheme. They're not scheming him open. They're not running plays specifically to get Chase Claypool open, but they're utilizing him for his skills, and he can block on a defensive back better, than probably any wide receiver outside of DK Metcalf in this league. So the thing with Chicago, and then I'll shut up. You can't the linebacker, the edges have to contain. Our edges are going to have to contain and set and hold their edge, and don't break contain. The linebackers cannot get fooled because you think the play is going to go right, and they're pulling guys to the right, and everything's really forcing out left. And when they need to, Chicago has shown on numerous times, and I showed you one of those plays where they have no problem max protecting. They will keep 9 guys in to block, right, and give Justin Fields time and let him take. That's how they take their shots. They take their shots on those max protect plays and hope that their wide receiver beats our wide receivers.
What
our cornerbacks?
Right. Well, that'll be hard against us to do.
Exactly.
What do you?
You know what? And I'm going to say this. I hear what you're saying. I'm not discrediting him. Our cornerbacks, are top of the league, but they are susceptible to get beat. Both of them to get beat initially off the ball, right? Mm-hmm. Now they have phenomenal. They break on it, and then the makeup speed that they have to make a play is lights out, and that's why they've been so good. But you got to call a spade a spade. All right, forget about the first play of the Buffalo game where Revis bit the double move, But the last play of the game, Revis, he's just a freak athlete, and he's
Sauce,
able to. Or Sauce, yeah.
Yeah, Revis. I don't want to say it.
So, he's just a freak athlete, and he's able to make up ground so fast. But he, take the offensive push maybe away, but he was beat at first. DJ Reed was beat by Stephon Diggs on one of those go routes where he was able to get back and get his head around and get his hand up. Again, they're phenomenal athletes, but they can be beat. And that's exactly what Chicago's are when they set up those max protect and send those guys deep. They're hoping that they can beat the defensive backs.
Darnell Mooney just doesn't scare me. I got to be honest.
So what happens if Fields doesn't play? What happens to this offense of Chicago?
Listen, I'm going to tell you this much.
Throw it all out.
I David Montgomery does not scare me. We joke. David Montgomery is a plotter. He's a slower James Robinson, and James Robinson isn't winning any track meets anytime soon.
Slower right. James Robinson.
He's a slower James Robinson.
Guys, I think we could outrun him then.
He's a plotter. He's a guy that's never gonna, really average more than 3.5 yards a carry. The offensive line is mediocre on their best days. I don't know what Trevor Siemian can bring to the air attack. I don't know. If Fields doesn't play, I got to imagine that the offense looks completely different than what we saw.
It is interesting they have Griffin and Wesco as their second and third tight ends.
Yeah. And listen,
tight end reunion.
Wesco hasn't been bad. Hasn't been bad.
I look forward to the tribute video on the MetLife scoreboard for both of them. I'm sure they'll get a nice standing ovation.
Wesco has played really good this year in Chicago, as has Tyler Kroft in San Francisco.
That doesn't surprise me. I always liked Kroft. It was just his lack of ability to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought Kroft was useful, certainly not the tight end you want featured in your offense, but when he's on the field, he's fine.
I'm wondering what our tight ends are going to look like with a guy like Mike White at quarterback. Like, I'm wondering if it's going to look different and they're going to get more opportunities.
You know what, bro? He dumped off. I went back to the infamous game, the Cincy game. Mike White had 49 pass attempts. 14 of the targets were to Michael Carter.
Yeah.
It was running back, 6 of them were to Ty Johnson. Almost half of his targets were to running backs. You got to keep that in mind. So this might be, if you have Carter or James Robinson in fantasy, this might be a decent week to play them.
Yeah. I agree. Listen, I don't know what the offense is going to look like under Trevor Siemian, and I don't know what our offense is going to look like under Mike White. So I for argument's sake, I'm gonna say the offenses are a wash. But I'm gonna bet on our defense is gonna be better than their defense.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to at least move the ball on them offensively. Like, especially if Herbig is back, that'll help. If
Corey Davis will be back.
So I think that's going to help. I think we have more weapons that can make something happen if Mike White could just get them the ball, right? Elijah in the slot, just get him the ball. We have more of a potential of, I think at least, that, with an Elijah and a Garrett Wilson, that one of those guys, and Michael Carter could hit a home run, kind of like break one,
Yeah.
So,
I'll say this. I think our defense is much better. Our defense, I'll take our defense against their offense, 10 out of 10 times rather than their defense against our offense. Like, just say both backup quarterbacks are playing. It's a White versus Simeon game. Say the offenses are a wash. I'm going to bank on our defense. However, I was really, again, I've only watched three of their games this year, but I was really, really impressed with the scheme, the game plan that was put in. So if our defense doesn't get fooled and bite and give up one of those big plays that slips for 60, 70 yards, that's not out of the realm. They have the ability to hit for big plays. And I did see somebody in the chat mention something, which is a common theme. I'm not going to say I disagree with it, but I think it's taken a little bit out of context. Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson are not the same type of quarterback. They're not. Lamar Jackson he's phenomenal. Lamar Jackson's phenomenal with the ball in his hand. He's very dangerous with his legs. Justin Fields is a running back. Justin Fields runs the ball like a running back, and their offense is schemed to give him the ball to run with lead blockers as if he was a running back. He's more than just a quarterback with good legs. He's a running back with a good arm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the difference between the two. If that makes any sense. Makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
I got it.
So you got to contain them, man. And if you I can't say it enough. I've probably said it 10 times. You have to set those edges, and you can't let him get outside the tackle box. They're going to try to get him outside the tackle box, and it's going to be our defenders, our edges, and our outside and our linebackers' job to make sure that he doesn't get outside that tackle box. And especially now, if he is hurt, you got to put pads on him all the time. You got to bump him. You got to get him on the ground. You got to make him uncomfortable.
Yep. And they will try, and they've been doing it. I mean, look, like you said, any given Sunday, nothing is guaranteed. Our guys could come out flat on the defensive line. It's happened. We've seen it before. They've gotten hot. They've gotten hot lately. We need them to stay hot. To me, it's like defensively, if that defensive line stays hot and they're penetrating, and you got Huff doing his thing and Lawson doing his thing and Quinn in the way he's been playing and JJ sealing the edge because he is our edge sealer. I mean, like, if those guys show up and really dominate, and I know they're capable against the Chicago offensive line, our defense is going to have fun. It's going to be a fun day for them.
Yeah.
Justin Fields has been sacked more times than any other quarterback in the league. Okay, 40
Even
times.
more than Burrow? Even more than Burrow? I would have bet Burrow was the leading.
40 times in 11 games. That's the most. So, it is very much an all or nothing type of team. There is no reason, like you said, setting the edge. That's so well said. You keep him in the pocket. He's prone to turnovers, and he's prone to going down. While he is an outstanding athlete. He hasn't learned how to play the position yet. So I'm glad the Jets are getting him now if he's even able to play.
Yeah. When forced to really intellectualize and think and kind of figure out what the defense is giving him, progress in his reads and so on and so forth, that's when you see Justin Fields struggle. But there was a lot of instances where the offensive coordinator doesn't put him in that position. They give him one read, and then and if it's not there, you're going here. You're reading this guy. Your key is the mic. If the mic stays home, swing it. If the mic gets depth and follows the guy who's on the clear out, then hit your guy in the little dump. Hit your little hook zone guy. They're not making him think too much. Those plays that are long forming and you got multiple diverse routes being run where he's got to really read through the progressions. That's not Justin Fields' forte. And shit, it hasn't been Zach's either. So
I'm still waiting to find out Zach's forte, but
listen, I'm going to give the kid some credit, man. I thought he handled the interview today when he was asked about being benched as best as he could. Said all the right things.
Yep.
And from what I read, he did speak to the team as a whole, yes. And he took he took ownership and so on and so forth. And there was two or three guys that came out and said something to the media about it. So that tells me that it wasn't so hunky dory in the locker room after all that. That there was a little bit of tension.
No, there was tension. There's no. How could there not be? You have to it's just. It's like it's it's clear as day when you heard him say it. Like the way the fan base reacted, the way we all reacted. How could they not? If we reacted that way, we're all human.
Yeah.
So we were all offended for them, right? We loved the way our defense, some people were pointing out missed tackles in the first half. But at the end of the day, we gave up 3 points. And at the end of the day, the second half, the defense was just stout. Like they adjusted, they stopped missing as many tackles, and they were just stout. I mean, they were just unmovable. And obviously, the Jets defense deserved to win that game. The players, the effort, they deserve to walk away with a win when you hold the New England Patriots to 3 points.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we're taking this game even harder. I mean, if this was a game that he had against the Lions or against the Vikings, I really don't think we would have taken it as hard as it was because it was against who it was against. I just think that extra personal nature brought out the wrath of Jets Nation collectively that much more. Yeah.
But no. So I'm predicting. I'll just say before we wrap up, just real quick, Adam. I know you got to go, so.
Yeah.
Why don't you give your prediction for the score against Chicago and tell everybody what you got going on in case you have to check out a little early?
It's okay. Yeah, I'm getting up in about 4 hours to drive to North Carolina, so I need a few hours of sleep here. But all right, so my prediction is going to be Jets 20, Bears 10. I'll be doing my bold prediction video probably tomorrow. My confidence picks, and also I've got a video that I've recorded, haven't uploaded it yet. I'll be doing that tomorrow morning, but it'll be about one trend that I've seen in every Jets win, something they do when they win, and something they don't do in every game that they've lost. So something that I've figured out, and I'll be putting that up. Other than that, I wanted to say this. I will be doing my very first interview. I'll be conducting an interview on the channel for the very first time, and we'll be doing that Friday morning. I'm going to be talking with my friend Q, who has been a friend of mine for about 15 years, diehard Chicago fan. We used to go to all the old Ring of Honor wrestling events together, a lot of WWE together. And as passionate as I am about New York sports, he's as passionate about Chicago sports. So I'm going to interview him, and we're going to do a little crossover, Jets versus Bears, and we'll get the inside scoop from the Windy City. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
I like it.
All right.
I like it.
How about you? What's your prediction for the game, though, Adam? Did you say that final score?
Yeah. Jets 20, Bears 10.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
That's my prediction.
How about you, Dom?
Oh, by the way, that's with Mike White and Trevor Siemian playing quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot of variables that come into play when you try to put a score on it. I think the Jets come out victorious. I'm going to say that, we do bite and we give up one big chunk play touchdown to the defense. But, we come out there and Mike White does enough to get us across the finish line. And I'm going to say Jets 24, Chicago 7.
Okay. I'm going to say that the Jets, I'm feeling that the Jets are going to win 34-16.
Okay, how to get the 34 point? Is it the Mike White game? Is it the running backs game? Is the defense?
I think big defensive plays. I think that we're going to get that. Like I think
Sure.
Mike White's going to play Mike White's going to play very efficient. I think our running game is going to be better than it was, obviously. So it's going to be better, not great, but better. I think that Mike White's going to be efficient, and I think he's going to, make some and have a couple of really nice drives. And I think the rest is going to come from just great field position, the defense, just lots of good things. Like we might even get a defensive score, or special teams setup kind of play. Like I think we're going to come out and play a complete game. I think we're angry. I think that even though people think they're distracted, I don't think it's distracted. I think it's more handling adversity and being pulled together even tighter as a family. I think they're hurt. Their feelings are hurt. These guys are competitive. They want to win. And I just have this feeling we're going to come out and play a great game. I think our defense is going to dominate this offense. I really do. I think our defense is going to, I think they're tasting blood now every week. I think they believe in themselves. They're confident. I think they're taking pride in every game. And I think we're going to take advantage of this offensive line and really go to town on these guys.
I like it. I'm more curious.
In my opinion, this is as good as a matchup. Let's see.
Yeah, I know Adam's got to run, but
it's good. I just think I'm as confident with this defense as I've been all year.
Yeah. I'm curious on what you guys think. Forget about the score because, like I said, there's so many variables. Is Fields playing? Is Siemian playing? Is Fields healthy? So blah blah blah. I'm more curious on what you think Mike White's line is going to look like.
I don't think he's going to have to throw the ball too extensively. I will think they'll try to go for the short passes, with that amazing 100% completion rate behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, we wouldn't want to, break that record. I will say 14 for 18 for 186 yards and two touchdowns with one of them to a running back.
That's
just an efficient game. Yeah, a very efficient, very safe game. I think you'll get some good yak in this game for sure.
You think only think he's going to throw 8? You're predicting 18
passes. Yep, I'm going 18. It'll be run some more. This run defense is terrible. The Bears can be run on.
They got Brisker's playing a hell of a game so far. Brisker's
out though. I think he might be out.
Jaquan Brisker?
Yeah, he's hurt. I mean, he had limited practice or something, or I don't even think he played. You got
last game, the Atlanta game. I think I counted like 14 tackles.
Oh, so maybe I don't know. I got to check the injury. I checked the injury report this morning.
It could be out. I'm just saying. Last game, he was
limited,
all over the place. Last game.
Okay.
So,
but the Bears defense has allowed 142 rushing yards per game, the fourth worst in the league. It's a vulnerable run defense. The only two players that I'd say are legitimately good on that team now are Brisker and Eddie Jackson, their other safety. They're like the Jets defense from a couple of years ago. The two best players are their safeties. They could run the ball all day long, in my opinion. They should, if they did against Buffalo, I'm sorry, especially with her big back. that's big, there's no reason they should be able to do it against the Bears.
It's fair.
Yeah. And here's a question for you guys. If Herbig is not ready, or even if he is, do you think Dr. Blocker is ready, or do you think we're another week away from him?
No. I don't think you're going to see him any. I think he's not in football shape.
Right.
Sure, mentally he might be there, like he knows the playbook, so on and so forth, but he's not in football. He's not in football shape. He's a guy that if he sees the field, it'll probably be weeks 15, 16, 17 at all.
Yeah.
I think it's if Herbig can't go, I think we're gonna see Feeney again. We're gonna see the mullet.
Okay.
Listen, we got rid of McDermott. We got rid of McDermott. All right, we got to deal with Feeney for one more season. So be it.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not even personal against Feeney. The guy does his job. He stood up for one of our players. I think it was Zach. Like somebody got hit, and he got in their face and gave him a shove, and I like that, huh?
I think the more curious question is, could we see Mike Remmers?
Yeah, I don't know why we haven't. To be honest.
Again, he's still getting into play. He had no camp.
He's active.
He hasn't been active. He's on the practice squad.
Yeah, it's good to hear that Fant is practicing again. So so that is encouraging. Mitchell's not very far away either. The sooner that right side of the offensive line gets fortified, the better this run game will be, and the better this offense will be.
Yeah, I mean, both the practice windows were open for. Now it's officially both Mitchell and Fant. So that's great news. I mean, soon we're going to have one of these tackles back, and soon we're going to have both of them. So we'll even have some depth.
Yeah, should be interesting. Well,
and once you get Herbig back, maybe we get back on track. You get Herbig out there, you get either Max Mitchell or George Fant back out there. Suddenly we're back on track. We can start getting the running game going again. It's not like we don't have good running backs. Michael Carter, James Robinson. I like these guys.
Yeah.
The one thing do you think that one of them is hurt, or why did Ty Johnson get so many carries? Like, what's your theory on that? Did somebody get hurt?
No, I don't have a theory. I'm boggled. I just think that he was part of the game plan. Listen, I've said it, and I fought tooth and nail with everyone about it. Ty Johnson is their third down running back. He's the guy. He's their guy.
I still can't get over that third three. Yeah, I still can't get over third three shotgun on our field goal drive, and we do a shotgun handoff to Ty Johnson. I couldn't believe it.
That
was ridiculous. It was such a ridiculous play. It was such a ridiculous.
I don't think one of the guys was hurt. I just think my guess is that the game plan didn't call for a lot of inside stuff, which is probably why we didn't see a lot of James Robinson. But the taking Michael Carter off the field for Ty Johnson thing, I got nothing. I got no answer.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. Yeah. Well, anyway, guys,
I hope Bam gets a chance at some point.
I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
an amazing Thanksgiving to you guys on the panel, to Dom, to So Y2K, have an amazing Thanksgiving to everybody in the chat, everybody who supported this channel. I hope you have an amazing, amazing holiday. Hey, I'm going to be, my thanks is easy, man. I'm going to just give thanks to everybody, everybody involved with this channel, everybody who's subscribed, everybody who comes in here to watch these videos, everybody who's been on as a guest, all my co-hosts. I mean, I'm thankful for all that. It's been an incredible year. It really has.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Best to you and yours, guys. To you and your families. Enjoy it. Be safe. And we'll talk ball soon.
Take care, everybody. We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media. Matt O'Leary. Iowa Jets fan. We're in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Woo.
Jets by 1 million today.
Yeah.